Hello and welcome to Geeks Assembled. And today we're going to be discussing the fourth in our series of Bond reviews, The Living Daylights with Timothy Dalton. So let's jump right into it, and we'll go to opening thoughts. Let's go over to Tim first. What do you think, Tim?
It's a good movie. This is a new Bond. I mean, this is the first new Bond since Roger Moore has left the role, and after like some 13 years, and this is a new direction. I think he's supposed to be a bit tougher and a bit younger. He comes across as being a bit more. I don't know. I mean, like for example, I don't know what I'm trying to say. I guess it's just like the scene that I found really distressing was when it looked as if he was just about to shoot what's his name in the back of the head, because he had to execute him or something. You know, the guy that played Gimli in the Lord of the Rings. What's his name? I can't remember. He's in everything.
John Rhys-Davies.
Yeah, there you go. But it was unpredictable. This movie is also different because there's only one Bond girl for a change. Usually he goes through 2 or 3 of them through the course of the film, and this time you only have the one. I thought it was a pretty well plotted movie. I didn't think it was quite as good as some of the other films, as far as getting all the ducks in a row and all the set pieces, but I thought it was very entertaining. I saw this in the theaters back in the mid 80s when it came out. I think it was 87, right? And it was enjoyable then. It was enjoyable now. I mean, I will say I like the second song in the film better than the first one. This is the one by the Pretenders, but that's just a minor niggle. In other words, it's a great movie. It's a great Bond movie. Not the best, but a good one.
Thanks, Tim. Let's go over to Susan next.
I see, getting all the Americans out of the way first. All right, yeah. The CIA's in it. It's got Joe Don Baker as a baddie. Joe Don Baker is in so many movies. Oh my gosh, he's in everything. He's in all these bad ones, and this is almost one of his best movies, I think. Yeah, I think that's close. Anyway, fantastic. I love the fact that she's a cellist and also, you know, a spy, and it was all during the Cold War, and here's a defector and some drugs. Here, have some drugs, people, as they're falling out of the plane. And the cast is good outside of, yeah, I was amazed how much I liked seeing it again. I saw it with my dad, and our family used to see a Bond movie every year, and this one was a good one. I hadn't seen it since then, so I mean, it was surprisingly good on second watch. So, yeah, that's my opening thoughts. Over to you, Connor.
Thanks, Susan. Craig and David.
This film was like a romantic weekend for two. Like, yeah. And they sort of, and I just wanted to go in there and say, look, Bond, like, you know, yeah, just have your fun, and then, you know, just move on, sort of thing. It was like he was clingy, and it's like he wanted more, but he's Bond, and it's not going to work anyway. You know, I just want, like, even if it was friends with benefits, like, it's just one of the two is going to get hurt or injured or killed, if that, or, you know. But Timothy Dalton, I really like him as Bond. I think for his costume design, maybe back in the, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, we're talking.
I'm not sure what year this film was.
87.
87.
Oh,
sorry, yeah.
okay, right.
All right, it's pretty dubious
This,
time.
he was sort of dressed like
Yeah, like I don't know, like some sort of
someone
CNA catalog. You know?
like all in the beige with the beige jacket.
It wasn't Bond, was it?
Yeah, that's my opening thoughts.
Yeah.
Thank you. Lee.
All right. Yeah, it's a good movie, but I agree. Bond is a womanizer, and I think this is. I mean, watching the documentary, the filmmakers wanted to change him because to move with the times, and so they only gave him one woman to be with in the movie, and I think that's where it sort of falls a bit flat. Because usually Bond has 2 to 3 in a movie.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing against Mariam Darbo, brilliant actress, and Craig will know this movie because I remember seeing her in a movie in the early 80s called Extra. Craig?
Oh, yeah.
She was in, yeah, she was in that movie. She was the lead actress in that movie. But yeah, Timothy Dalton, great casting, but as I say, it wasn't the first. I mean, I was surprised to learn that Broccoli had offered him the role after Sean Connery had left in 68?
78.
He was at the time. Timothy Dalton was only 23, 24.
Yeah.
No.
And he said, and he turned around to Broccoli and he says, "No, I'm sorry, but I think I'm too young to play the role." So, which I suppose, yeah, it is. Bond has to be, I would say, in the 40s,
yeah,
if that, or But great actor, Sir Timothy Dalton, should I say? He's a Sir, Knight of the Room. Great casting, as you say. Don Baker as the villain Whittaker, which I always got confused because the 2 movies after this, GoldenEye and Tomorrow Never Dies, he appears in them as a goodie.
I was going to ask you that. He does reappear, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He does reappear, but as a
part in the later film.
Now that I've forgotten.
Yeah, but as Charles Grady, who appeared in You Only Live Twice, and then appeared in Diamonds Are Forever as Blofeld,
Yeah.
But, a good action movie. What's his name? Jerona Crabbe as the general who defects. Brilliant actor. I've seen him in loads of movies. But they say, you've made it when you're in a Bond movie. And it's really good to see Julie T. Wallace as Bond's aide with the breasts, smothering the guy with her breasts. I mean, Julie T. Wallace is best known for Lives and Loves of a She-Devil in the UK. That's how she made the break. I'm not heard of much these days, but she's a brilliant actress. Also, they went down the route of following from A View to a Kill for the theme music, using a group what was big at the time. That film, it was Duran Duran. This film, it was Ha Ha. I don't mind that. It was a big hit. It was a big hit in the UK. But as I say, I do like the song, but I also like The Pretenders, If There Was a Man. Brilliant song. And it's not the first Bond movie where it's used a couple of songs. We had On Her Majesty's Secret Service with Louis Armstrong used in it through the movie. So yeah, it's not bad. It's a back to basics Bond, isn't it?
Yeah.
The gadgetries are there. There's an updated Aston Martin. It's more down to earth. Not. I mean, it is a fantasy. It is fantasy action movie, but it's not over the top fantasy as some of the movies did go down the route of, but it sort of brought Bond back down to earth, and Timothy Dalton played him as Bond should have been and was written in the books. So I think it has been said Timothy Dalton's portrayal is the closest Fleming's Bond. So that's a good thing about it. It's just a shame he only did 2 movies, but what a great movie to start his Bond legacy with. Over to you, Con.
Thank you, Lee. Yeah, it's a shame he only did 2, but I would rather do these 2 that he did than do Pierce Brosnan's run. That aside, yeah, this movie is probably within my top 10. It's underrated as hell. Timothy Dalton kind of matches Daniel Craig as being the best Bond. Timothy Dalton meticulously read the books to prepare. This is the closest you're ever going to get to the novel version of Bond, I think, because he just nails it. I've read most of the novels, not all of them, and it's pretty accurate. To be fair, it's very Timothy Dalton. Obviously, I read them after I've seen Timothy Dalton, so I kind of did see Timothy Dalton in the novels. But yeah, great actor, and he really is one of the best. This movie, I actually really love. Cara is one of the best Bond girls, I think, and yeah, she's the only Bond girl in this film, but I think she does a pretty good job, to be fair. Necros is a henchman that is actually talked about quite a bit within the Bond fandom. He's actually quite well liked, and he's the Red Grant type of henchman, I think, and that's just what makes him kind of so domineering and well known and respected as a henchman, is that he did give Bond a physical test that he had to go through. This is the final movie scored by John Barry, the legendary John Barry, and he knocks out of the park with this. I've actually got this soundtrack on my Spotify. It's probably one of my favourite Bond soundtracks.
Hey Connor, is it true that he was in the orchestra, directing the orchestra in the opera scene?
I don't know. It's possible, because John Barry was so well known within the Bond kind of family that it's if they wanted someone to play a conductor, just get John Barry. But yeah, that you bring me to one of my favourite scenes, is the opera house scene right at the beginning. I do like that scene. Yeah, I think Cara is actually pretty underrated. Every aspect of this movie is underrated. It's got some of the best scenes in Bond in it. In fact, one springs to mind, and it's when the car is on the ice. That's pretty well liked by a lot of fans as well. Yeah, it's definitely more grounded. I think this is Daniel Craig's Bond before Daniel Craig. Kind of they tried and succeeded to do it here. It's very stripped back, grounded kind of take. And this is kind of the first time we really depart from the Connery, Lazenby, and Moore era, in that Desmond Llewellyn aside, there's a new M, and there's also a new Miss Moneypenny, because I think Lois Maxwell died just before. Did she die in the 90s, or was it?
I think it was. Yeah, I think it was the 90s. Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
She was replaced because they thought she was too old.
Oh right, okay, yeah. And I know she died quite quite a while ago, but I didn't know if it was that's why she was replaced. Yeah, she was replaced by
2007 she died.
2007, right?
Oh, right.
Caroline Bliss, who is overlooked compared to Lois Maxwell and Samantha Bond. She's not bad, but she's not great. I wouldn't call her the most memorable Miss Moneypenny to ever live, really. And as I mentioned on the Octopussy review, I just can't stand Robert Brown as M. I think he's just too authoritarian. It's not actually this movie where it really, as I also mentioned on Octopussy, in License to Kill, that guy is a bastard. You want Bond to kill his own boss. He's and you know that maybe that's not Robert Brown's fault. They probably wrote him as this kind of grandee, upstanding head of MI6 or whatever, MI5. It just isn't it's not a performance that kind of gels that well with me compared to Bernard Lee and Judi Dench and even Ray Fiennes for the short amount of time that we've had him. A lot of the kind of behind the scenes MI crew. I think this is kind of where they start to kind of lose it a little bit. I think on the because Desmond Llewellyn, this is one of his final films. I think it was only a few films later that he died tragically in a car accident. I think was it
After Tomorrow Never Dies.
Tomorrow Never Dies. Yeah.
His last one,
yeah. It's that was tragic, and Desmond Llewellyn, as always, stands out pretty well. Brad Whitaker as a villain is not the best, but he's not bad. He's very suiting to the Cold War Timothy Dalton-esque aesthetic that they're going for, and Koskov as well. There's also, you were mentioning recurring characters. Gogol reappeared for the final time, and he was in 4 other films before, 3 or 4 other films before this. He's the at this point retired head of the KGB. So that's another recurring role. My absolute, I think that actually Timothy Dalton, and I was going to save this till last anyway, has the best Bond entrance for me. Maybe apart from George Lazenby with the kind of where you see him as a shadow in the car. I like the Gibraltar training exercise segment with where he lands through the kind of the canopy on the boat, and immediately uses the phone, kind of disregards the woman, which speaks to your point about how he's kind of not really a womanizer anymore. They kind of shifted the characterization in that aspect. He's a very kind of down to business, brutal guy now, and that's just testament to Timothy Dalton's acting. He did really manage to change Bond, and for me in a good way, because I like the womanizing that Bond does. He, I like the Sean Connery kind of womanizing, but I actually prefer to watch films where Bond's got a harder edge, like Dalton and Craig. So I think to kind of see this as the kind of coming in of the harder edged Bond, the very 80s action movie Bond is fantastic. It's a good entry into the Bond franchise, and it is greatly overlooked. So that's my opening thoughts. Let's go on to favourite moments. Let's go over to Lee, because he looks like he was pained to say something.
I was just passing wind. You know, yeah, I mean, I'd say the cast is absolutely brilliant in this. Dalton did most of his own stunts, on, you know, the top of the Jeep and all like that. Not that Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson were happy with it, but he wanted to do it. Yeah, I mean, the villain in this, Whitaker, is not after he is not after world domination like most of the Bond movie villains are. He's an arms dealer, so his trade is, you know, goes to the highest bidder. He sells guns. He don't, you know, he's not after ruling the world. He's just supplying the villains who want to rule the world. So that's a bit of a different take on the villain of one movie. Yeah, I just, as I say, I don't like the non-womanized Bond. I think this is where, for me, it's sort of the gears sort of halt for me on that. I agree with Conan. It's one of these underappreciated movies, forgotten about movies, which it shouldn't be. It's, you know, the scenery and the where it was filmed, you know, and Vienna and places like that. I mean, the fairground, where, you know, the fairground scene, was, I think it was the same fairground where they filmed The Third Man with Orson Welles, where they did all that scene. So, you know, it's got
Yeah, it was.
and the fight scenes are just, as I say, I always go back to the stunts with the plane with the netting, and that was just amazingly done. And just the groundbreaking, you know, the fight scenes with the, you know, with the people on the horses. Another great actor, Art Malik, is in this. A very underrated actor. But for me, one of my favourite scenes is the plane scene where it's coming down. Get in the Jeep, fasten your seatbelt. And, you know, and they actually did it. They actually did that stunt. That was a real stunt. I mean, wow. Out of a plane, poof, straight onto the road. You know, he knows a nice cafe over there. Well, let's go over there. But yeah, it's I like this. It's I say with Connor, I would put this in my top 10 favourites of Bond movies. Won't be the top 3, but it'd be in the top 10. Over you, Connor.
Well, thank you, Lee. Let's go over to Craig and David.
I like the quirkiness of the main villain. Like, I like, you know, when he was standing with all the dictators throughout history.
Oh yeah.
And he's just standing there like he's like one of them. Like, I quite like that bit. I thought it was quite interesting, a bit silly. My favourite scene. I like the opium when he was with
the desert.
Yeah,
with the
and he just. I felt a bit like I suppose it made me a bit anxious. So I was thinking, God, it like to be in that situation as well. Like, you've got to have balls, man, to be doing that.
Absolutely,
just to go up and stab the sack and then say, yeah, that's like really strong opium, and you know, with the main dealers in, like, it was. I can't ever imagine even doing that job, to be honest with you. I couldn't do it.
But it's definitely more down. There's like Lee and Connor saying, like more like down to earth, sort of 007. You know, wasn't as like glamorous as like Connery or Roger Moore, like, and no sort of secret gadgets or weapons or strange little devices, like, you know. It's pretty. When he came in with that suit that he looked like he got from Primark, you know, it just blew me apart. This is not Bond, you know.
I like the funk, the Ferris wheel stuff.
Yeah.
I've never seen someone get killed from a sliding door before. I mean, that's a first. I would have liked to have seen the full team, but I recorded it on ITV4, and I don't know if they cut it out. I really wanted. Yeah. It's a bit macabre, but I wanted to actually see the guy like smash the pieces. But in the cut that I watched, it was literally just a bit of glass.
You don't see it in the DVD that I have. Sorry.
Okay.
I apologize to break it.
Okay, I feel equal now.
Yeah, was it usually you said it was it's Aha, not Duran Duran?
Aha.
It was Aha. Duran Duran did A View to a Kill.
That's right.
Sure. What was the other one that Timothy Dalton did? Because I think that one, I liked it.
License to Kill.
That's it.
Yeah, that was good. Yes.
Yeah.
But it was like more like a lockdown Bond, you know, down to earth Bond, you know, with a sort of Primark outfit and yeah.
But Dalton's good though. I like him as Bond. Really like him. I liked him in Doctor Who as well.
Well, he looks like a Bond, you know. I guess that's part of the Bond thing. You've got to kind of look suave and you've got to be quite tall, you know. Not from Newcastle. Yeah, that's what I mean. You don't see anybody in Newcastle looks like that. You know what I mean? Like, hello, my name's Bond. I mean, all right, Sean was from Scotland, like, you know, but Scotland's a bit cooler, you know. I remember once I was working in Scotland.
He's a Welsh Bond.
What's right? Shawnee?
He's a Welsh Bond.
But Sean's from, he's Scottish, isn't he? Sean Connery.
Sean Connery's Scottish. Timothy Dalton's Welsh.
Okay, right. But I'm saying, when I worked in Scotland, like, you used to say that Geordies are the Scotsmen with their brains removed. But, you know, I kind of sort of thought, that's okay, you know, I can go there. Like, that's why I'm not working in Newcastle living anymore. Yeah, but you wouldn't get a Geordie Bond, that's for sure. Like, you know, my name's Brooke Bond and I like tea. Shaking nuts, dude.
Thank you, Craig and David. Let's go over to Susan next.
All right, my favorite bit is the plane scenes. That was great. I thought, well, it's just like they're just delivering little packages of drugs here and there and there and some more over there and a couple over here and some over there. It's like, here, care packages to the farmers of the world. And yeah, so that was fun. And then I liked it I like the scene in the boat where he lands on the roof and she's like bored, and then he flips over and steals her phone and says she'll call you back, and then hangs her up her phone, and then proceeds to call in, and then all of a sudden it's like I'll be there in 1 hour. No, make that 2 hours. As she hands him a flute of champagne. Yeah, you know, he actually got together with 2 women in this movie. You know it. Come on. It wasn't overt, but it was there. And okay, so I love Joe Don Baker. This was a killer cast. I mean, everybody who was in this was a fun character actor. Great ones like Art Malik. I really liked seeing Art Malik in this as the Shah, Cameron Shah, and then Jaron Crab, he's always so cool. I mean, yeah, his big things are really big things. Yeah. And
what big things are we talking about, Susan?
Anyway, like the other thing that I really liked is I like the orchestra scenes. I love the scenes in the opera, the orchestra, where she's playing this cello with a bullet hole in it. I mean, and the fact that she said it's a Stradivarius, like, and it still makes a beautiful sound, even with a bullet hole in it. I mean, that's quite something. And yeah. Oh, and the tube with like the scrubber in it, and you get in there, and then there's enough room for a guy, and they shoot him through the pipes, and you could hear him all along, and nobody thinks it's like that guy. Anyway, so yeah, those are my favorite bits. Back over to you, Connor.
Thank you, Susan. Let's go to Tim next.
Well, I think most of them have already been discussed. I'll just say the most memorable scene is when they ride down the snow in the cello case. That's the one I always remember when I think about this film. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I've got to agree with that. That's probably my favourite scene. But also the one at the very beginning, as I mentioned, where Bond notices that the assassin that is trying to prevent Koskov's escape from the opera is Kara. I really like that scene because I think this is quite a strong female character, is Kara, to be honest, in many ways. She's not really regarded with people like Tracy or Pussy Galore or anything. But I think that like she should be considered a bit more than she is. I think that she's a lot better than the way that like the discussions falling around the movie kind of gives.
Well, because of the change in his character, where they've kind of cut that kind of side of him out, she seems like a true love interest. I think is what you're trying to say, is because they actually like Craig pointed out, it's almost like they're having a date weekend or something, or so rather than just the usual hookup and get some and get gone like Bond usually does.
That's part of the point. I think that she
playing with fire. Literally.
I think that she's a standout, to be honest. I really do. And she's one of my favourite parts of this film.
She's a standout, but as you say, she's forgotten, really, isn't she?
She is forgotten, which is sad. In fact, most of this movie is forgotten, to be fair, which is a shame, because I think that Timothy Dalton's era deserves a lot more discussion than.
I would say that's part of the format, though, isn't it? You only have a couple of occasions where the next movie picks up where the other one left off. More often than not, it's just it's like a reset. Every movie starts, so you got new gadgets, new girls, new, but it's pretty much the same story every time in a lot of ways.
Yeah. I think the execution
is it's just how they stitch it together,
Yeah, the execution in it, like even like the desert and stuff like that, just including all that sort of stuff, is just fantastic. I prefer, as Craig mentioned, License to Kill. That's hopefully one day we get to review that, because that is in my top 3 favorite Bond films, and that's got a killer title track as well, by Gladys Knight.
They make the set pieces. Gladys the baddest.
Yeah, but there's not really anything more I can say to this.
I've got a couple of things to say.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, firstly, I think I know why Necros is so well liked in fandom, and I think it's because he's mostly well liked in the gay community because of his little budgie smugglers he was wearing. You know what I mean?
What's a budgie smuggler?
Budgie smugglers, little tight little speedos he was wearing.
Banana hammock. He smuggled a budgie.
A budgie smuggler. So you know the name for that? No, it don't matter.
Speaking of big things, the Jordan played Satan in the Jesus, what is it called? The Passion, or one of those movies about Christ. He plays Satan, and he really nailed it.
It's like if you really know Satan, he nailed it.
Oh, yeah, and Jordan Crabb also was in Immortal Beloved, which starred Gary Oldman as Beethoven. And we were just talking about what a great guy Gary Oldman was, but here is Jordan Crabb playing the Schindler, Anton Felix Schindler. So
cool. But my second thing I was going to say, Connor, and this is a question to you, firstly. Yeah. Knowing the casting of Bond, knowing that Sam Neill was auditioned first and that fell through, then Brosnan was cast, then that fell through. If Brosnan hadn't fallen through and he made The Living Daylights, would you think that this would have been a totally different movie to what we've got now?
Yeah, it would have been a worse movie.
But if the makers of the movie were going down this route, keeping to the route.
I think part of the reason why both movies of Dalton's are a success is because of Dalton. No one can play Bond like Dalton, and I know that that's kind of quite easy to say about any actor that does it so well. But the way that he kind of was able to transfer the characterization from the page, in terms of the novels, onto the screen, which I don't know how much Sean Connery, Roger Moore, Lazenby researched the role, to be honest. But I can guarantee that they weren't as meticulous with it as Dalton was.
I would say that you're wrong about that. I think it doesn't so much depend on the actor; it just depends on the script. To be fair, because you're right. Dalton's good, but Moore was good in his first couple of films as well. In fact, I mean, he was good in most of them. But it depends on the script they're given, and they definitely camped him up throughout his run, and made the movies a bit more campy. In the same way they actually did with Connery in the beginning. Connery was very serious in the first couple of films, and then they let the humor creep in. They tried to do sort of a balance, I guess. But I don't think it so much depends on the actor playing the part, because you learned that with Lazenby. Lazenby was a suit model basically. Having stepped into the role,
but he was
good.
I never really see Brosnan as Bond. I just don't think that he was the best fit, to be honest. There's he doesn't have charisma as well as the others do. I just sometimes find him, GoldenEye aside, maybe, even though in GoldenEye,
I thought Brosnan was great. I mean, and he did. It was 10 years afterward, right?
Well, a bit, yeah, like 8 years afterwards. But I think I think that the Dalton movies could only have been done with, in my personal opinion, with Dalton. I don't even think Sam Neill would have been able to have really elevated it the way that that Timothy Dalton did. But I mean that's just a what if, isn't it? Really, like that we'll never really know.
I just wanted to know what you thought if that how it would have gone.
I mean, it's like I would apply the same logic as I've mentioned to Daniel Craig. I don't think that anyone could replace Daniel Craig in his movies, really. And Sean Connery as well, to be honest, can't be replaced in at least his first 3 movies. It's such a what if, really. So there's no point really kind of going over it too much. But I just think that Timothy Dalton just kind of nailed it, really, to my mind.
Felix was changed too, wasn't he? That Felix Leitner, American character, Leiter.
Yeah, it was. I can't remember the actor's name, but it wasn't the same actor that came back.
Yeah, he was.
Was it Powers Booth?
No, it was. It was the actor who played
Jack Lord.
It was the actor who played Hawk the Slayer.
John Terry.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then when License to Kill came around, it was back to David Hedison again.
Yeah.
David Hedison is kind of the Felix Leiter.
Yeah, after that, he's one leg lighter.
One
leg lighter!
Yeah. David Hedison can't be beaten. Although Jeffrey Wright gives him a run for his money. I think that...
Sometimes I just surprise myself.
Well, that'll be the last time, probably. But yeah, this isn't the same actor that played Felix Leiter, so they did change that aspect as well. Yeah, great cast though overall. I think I would agree. Has anyone else got any favourite moments that they want to chip in with before we move on? I guess everyone's covered everything.
I think we've covered most of it.
Yeah. All right. We'll move on to final say and score. So let's go over to Tim.
Very entertaining film. Great debut for a new Bond. I would give it an 8.
Thank you, Tim. Susan?
Yeah, I'll give it an 8.5. Lots of fun stuff in this, and yeah, I really enjoyed rewatching this, having not seen it for a long time. Thanks.
Susan, Craig, and David.
My favourite lines from this movie are Bond on a Ferris wheel, and then the guy says, "Oh, would you like another ride?" And then the last quote, "Oh James, oh James." So I like watching these movies for the I like the humour in this.
Yeah, there's got to be.
I'm going to give it an 8.
Yeah, David.
Yeah,
I
think definitely an 8. Yeah. Yeah, it's he is a good Bond, Yeah.
Thank you, Craig and David. Lee.
Hey driver, where we going? I swear my nerves are showing. Set your hopes up way too high. Living's in the way we die. A brilliant quote from John Barry. It's from the song, of course. I'm going to give it an 8.5. It's an enjoyable movie. Timothy Dalton, he's great in the role. As I say, just a shame nothing really came of his era. What could have been.
The Bond of Rassilon. What could have been?
Yeah, thank you, Lee. I'll give it an 8. It deserves an 8. It's got great scenes, great cast, great Bond girl, great Bond, great car. Oh, I forgot to mention the Vanquish. That is my dream car, and it is appearing in No Time to Die. So I'm extra happy about that. So that car is coming back. Yeah, I totally forgot about that. And this is actually the first time that Aston Martin appears in a Bond film since On Her Majesty's Secret Service, because Roger Moore kind of chose different car makes, most notably the Lotus, in The Spy Who Loved Me. So it was good to see Aston Martin come back with such an amazing car. And one day I will own one of them. They still make them. I don't think they will though. So yeah, it gets an 8 from me. So yeah, thanks for watching our The Living Daylights review. Like, subscribe, hit the bell to get notifications. If you want to join, send Lee a message and he'll get back to you in his usual cynical, slow pace. He'll probably call you a bastard along the way. And then 2 months down the line, he'll kick you out the group, TikTok. So, yeah, if you want to get on the group, that's the way to do it.
They couldn't.
And actually, I want to close this cast with
Song.
not a song. No.
Come on, give us a song.
A message of kind of as the Bond family comes together in grief over the past week for Diana Rigg,
Yeah.
who unfortunately passed away last Friday, I believe now.
Yeah.
So yeah, R.I.P.
Sad.
Diana Rigg.
Yeah, Diana Rigg.
You were simply the best, to quote a Bond song. Better than all the rest, which is not a Bond song. But yeah, Diana Rigg, you'll always be remembered, and I'm sure one day we'll get around to reviewing Avengers, hopefully.
Oh, we already did one. Yeah.
Yes, we've already done them.
Have we?
Oh,
Both audio
Oh, no.
and television show.
We will find a Diana Rigg thing to do then in her memory.
we're on the bus.
I'm sure.
Age of
Yeah, so R.I.P. Diana Rigg.
Yeah.
Yep, so thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.